It's 6:48 on a Tuesday morning. You're sitting in your driveway in a truck that costs more than your parents' first house, and you're Googling how to refinance a car loan. Because 3 years in, you still owe more on this thing than it's worth. Your coffee's getting cold. Your check engine light came on last week, and you've been pretending it didn't. And somewhere in the back of your head, a quiet voice is saying what you already know, but won't say out loud. You can't afford this truck. You never could. But here's the part that really stings. This isn't the first time. It's the third vehicle you financed in 8 years. And every single time, the pattern was the same. You got tired of the old one, walked into a dealership feeling kind of broken, rolled the leftover balance into a new loan, and drove off feeling like you'd earned a fresh start. You hadn't earned anything. You'd just reset the trap. My name is Nicole, and I spend an embarrassing amount of time studying why people who earn perfectly good incomes end up at 38 with nothing more in savings than they had at 28, even though their paycheck doubled. If you've ever opened your bank app on a Sunday and felt that little flicker of dread before the numbers loaded, hit subscribe, because today I'm breaking down what I'm convinced is the most expensive loop in American personal finance. I'm calling it the rolling debt trap. And I'm going to show you, with actual math, how it quietly erases over $1 million from your net worth across a normal working life. Look, here's the setup. I want you to stop thinking of car payments as a monthly bill and start thinking of them as a subscription to staying broke. Because that's, what they are. The average American spends roughly 45 years making car payments. Not continuously, sure, but close enough. The average new car loan now is 6 years long. Most people trade in or buy something new every 4 to 6 years. So by the time one loan is wrapping up, the next one is already starting. Sometimes they overlap. That's the trap. From the moment you sign your first auto loan at 22 to the day you retire at 67, there's almost always a car payment attached to your name, and nobody ever sat you down and explained how to step out of it. This isn't, by the way, a story about somebody being smart and somebody being dumb. It isn't a deprivation video. It's a story about defaults. Used to be, like a generation ago, a car was a tool. You bought it, you drove it for 12 years, you handed it down to your kid, you bought another. Today, somewhere along the way, cars became identities, status, self-expression, reward. The dealership doesn't sell you transportation anymore. They sell you a feeling. The financing is what happens after the feeling. That's what got rewired. Now meet two people who are going to help me prove what this thing actually costs. Caleb lives in Phoenix, 27, works in logistics, makes 74 grand. He just signed for a 2025 F-150, $56,000, 72-month loan, 7.1% APR. Monthly payment $963. He put $3,000 down, which he had to pull from his emergency fund, leaving about $1,400 behind in case life happens. Spoiler, life happens. Priya lives in the same city, same age, works in supply chain, makes 74 grand. Priya drives a 2016 Toyota Camry with 118,000 miles on it, slightly dusty in the back seat. She paid $11,500 cash for it 2 years ago. No payment, no interest. Her total monthly transportation cost, insurance, fuel, a small maintenance fund, is about $430. The gap between them every month is $533. Remember that number. It's about to become $1.2 million. Let's get into how. Trap number 1, the depreciation conveyor belt. You're paying full price for half a product. Here's a fact every car buyer knows in their head and ignores in their gut. The moment you drive a new vehicle off the lot, it loses about 20% of its value. By year 5, it's lost roughly half. That isn't an opinion. That's just how cars work. So Caleb's $56,000 F-150 is worth somewhere around $28,500 after 5 years. Meanwhile, in those same 5 years, he'll have paid about $58,000 in monthly payments to own it. He spent $58,000 to own something now worth $28,000. That's a 30 grand evaporation in 5 years. But Caleb isn't thinking about it like that. He's thinking in monthly payments. $963. Manageable, he tells himself. The dealership told him it was manageable. They ran his debt-to-income ratio and told him he qualified. Now, qualifying for debt and being able to afford debt are two different sentences. Qualifying means the bank thinks you'll pay them back. Affording means you can pay them back and still build a life. The bank only cares about the first one. Used to be the rule of thumb on a car was 20% down, no longer than 4 years, and total payment under 10% of take-home. That was just normal. Anybody at a dealership in 1995 telling you to put 0 down and finance for 72 months would have been laughed off the lot. Now 72 is standard, 84 is creeping in, and 0 down is a Tuesday. The deal didn't change because cars got better. The deal changed because the math, for them, got better. Trap number 2, the interest invisibility cloak, the cost you're trained not to see. I want to talk about the part of car loans that dealerships have spent 40 years engineering you to ignore. Now I know what you're thinking, because I thought it too the first time someone broke this down for me. Nicole, I'm not stupid. I know there's interest. It's like $20 extra a month, right? No, it is not $20 extra a month. Caleb's loan, roughly 53 grand financed, 7.1% APR, 72 months. Total interest paid over the life of that one loan, about $16,300. 16 grand. That's not equity. That's not a return. That's not an asset. That's $16,000 Caleb is paying the bank for the privilege of slowly paying off something that's losing value every single day. Here's how I want you to picture interest on a depreciating asset. Imagine you're paying a guy $220 a month, about your phone bill, to stand next to your truck and remove one part every week. First the floor mats, then the mirror caps, then the tailgate, then the spare tire. Hundreds of dollars a month, for years, going to a man whose entire job is dismantling your truck part by part. That's auto loan interest. You're paying money to watch your money disappear. I'm calling it the interest invisibility cloak. And the reason it works is the dealership has trained your eye onto exactly one number, the monthly payment. They will stretch the term, restructure the down payment, bundle in extras, rerun the deal 6 different ways, all in service of making that one number feel comfortable. What they will never volunteer, like not once, is the total interest you'll pay over the life of the loan. That number lives in a folder. You have to ask for the folder. Most people don't ask. I've watched this happen at the same dealership 3 different times. Friends, my own brother, and one extremely stubborn cousin who insisted he had negotiated hard. None of them, not one, knew the total interest figure on their loan when they walked out. They knew the monthly payment to the dollar. They knew the down payment. They knew the dealer-installed spray-on bed liner cost $200. The interest? Like a few thousand, maybe. 12 to 18,000. Every time. Now Caleb isn't going to finance just one car in his life. The average American owns somewhere around 9 vehicles in a lifetime. If Caleb keeps doing exactly what he's done so far, finance a new one every 5 or 6 years, he's going to take out 6 or 7 more auto loans across his working life. Each one is its own little interest invisibility cloak. 16 grand here, 20 grand there, 14 grand on the next one. Added up across 40 years, and Caleb is going to hand banks something close to $100,000. $100,000, just in interest, on things that, by the time he's done paying for them, are worth a fraction of what he paid. You didn't lose money on a depreciating asset. You paid extra for the privilege of losing it slower. That's the cloak. Trap number 3, the negative equity snowball. How one bad loan becomes 3. This one should genuinely rattle you a little. Year 4 of Caleb's loan. He still owes about 22 grand on the F-150, but the truck, on the trade-in market, not the sticker market, is worth 19. He's 3 grand underwater, and he's bored. He wants something different. The dealership down the road is running a promo on the new Bronco. Sleek, different rims. He saw a guy at Home Depot last week driving one and felt something. So, he walks in. The salesperson runs his trade. Truck's worth 19, you owe 22. No problem, they say, with the warmth of a person who has done this exact conversation 1,700 times this year. We'll just roll the difference into the new loan. Caleb drives off in a $52,000 Bronco. Loan balance on day one, $55,000. He's already underwater before he's even left the parking lot. That's not a typo. That's the snowball. Every time you roll leftover debt into a new loan, the gap between what you owe and what you actually own gets a little wider. Loan 3 carries debt from Loan 2, which carried debt from Loan 1. You're paying for ghosts of cars you don't own anymore. Here's the part that's almost funny, in a sad way. About 1 in 4 people buying a new vehicle right now is starting their loan already in the hole. Average underwater amount on those, roughly $6,500, a quarter of new car buyers. Hole. Day 1. By the 4th car, Caleb is likely carrying 8 to 12 grand in phantom debt, money owed on cars he traded in years ago, baked invisibly into his current payment. He'll never see it itemized, he'll never feel it directly, but it's there, making every payment a little higher, every loan a little longer, every escape a little harder. That's how one bad loan quietly becomes 3. Trap number 4, the lifestyle compression effect. Your car is eating your life. Now I know what you're thinking, because I've heard the exact sentence from 100 guys with the exact same truck. Look, Nicole, I work hard. I deserve a nice truck. The truck is the one thing I really enjoy. I don't drink, I don't go to Vegas, the truck is mine. I hear you. I'm not arguing with the feeling. I'm just going to show you what the truck is actually costing you beyond the headline payment, and then you decide. Caleb's $963 monthly truck payment is the headline. Insurance on a financed $60,000 truck with full coverage runs around $285 a month. Fuel, 30-mile commute, 20 miles per gallon, call it $255. Maintenance, tires, all the stuff that quietly piles up on a full-size truck, averages around $150 a month over time. Registration, fees, car washes, parking, say $45. Real total monthly cost of that truck, about $1,700. Caleb takes home roughly $4,625 a month after taxes. His truck is eating 36.5% of every dollar he earns. Not his housing, not his food, his truck. A machine that sits in a parking lot for 22 hours a day. It's getting more of his paycheck than his apartment. I've watched what happens next, in real life, with real people. Caleb rents a smaller apartment than he wants because the truck makes the math not work. He eats out less than his friends because the truck makes the math not work. He hasn't started his Roth IRA because, and this is the line that kills me, he doesn't have the room right now. He'll have the room next year, he says. He said that last year too. He'll say it next year. That's the trap. It's not that he can't afford to invest, it's that he already invested in the truck. And here's the move that locks it in. Every other decision in his life is now asking the truck for permission. Vacation? Truck. Weekend trip? Truck. Apartment with a balcony? Truck. Roth IRA? Truck. You didn't buy a vehicle. You hired a tenant. And it's not paying rent. It's collecting it. That's the lifestyle compression effect. The truck doesn't just take your money. It compresses every other financial decision into whatever air is left in the room after the truck has done breathing. Same income, same city, same age. Priya, in the meantime, is putting $1,200 a month into investments, $600 to a Roth IRA, $600 into a brokerage account she barely thinks about. She has a 14 grand emergency fund. She takes 1 international trip a year. She sleeps fine. Caleb has a truck. Trap number 5, the 45-year subscription, the number that actually matters. This is the math that made me want to make this video in the first place. The average American gets their first car loan around 22, and stops financing somewhere around 67. That's 45 years of car payments. Average new payment right now is north of $700 a month. Average used is around $530. Most people alternate between new and used over a lifetime, so let's split it down the middle and call it $635. $635 a month for 45 years. That alone is roughly $343,000 in just car payments. Not insurance, not fuel, not maintenance, not the rolled-in negative equity, just the loan. Pull back even further and add in everything. Full ownership cost, average household, you're somewhere around $1,100 a month, which means lifetime total comes out close to 600 grand. Over $500,000 on a series of metal boxes that all eventually got donated to a junkyard. But the number that should actually keep you up at night isn't what you spent. It's what that money would have been. Here's the move. Nicole, nobody's going to drive zero car for 45 years. Yeah, nobody should. So let's make it realistic. Imagine you do what Priya does. Buy a reliable used car for cash, around 12 grand, every 7 years. That averages out to about $143 a month over a lifetime. Net monthly savings versus the average car payment, about $492. Just the gap, just the difference. Invested for 45 years at modest market returns, roughly $5 million. $5 million. Same job, same commute, same life, just a different relationship with the car. I'm not telling you to never own a car. That would be unhinged. I'm telling you to stop subscribing to car payments like they're a streaming service you can't cancel, because they're the most expensive subscription in your life, and you don't even get ad-free. Trap number 6, the status mirage. Nobody cares what you drive, except other broke people. This is the part nobody likes to hear. The honest reason most people pay $963 a month for a truck they can't really afford has nothing to do with hauling, towing, off-roading, or weekend projects. The honest reason is, well, y'all, somewhere along the way, we collectively agreed that what you drive is who you are. The version of you in the F-150 is supposedly a more impressive person than the version of you in the Camry. It is not. But the algorithm rewards the F-150 version with more attention than the Camry version. So, here we are. I'm calling it the status mirage. Most people who finance a vehicle they can't comfortably afford will say, if you push them, that they felt some kind of social pressure to buy something nicer than what made sense. Pressure from where? Performance? No. Reliability? No. Safety? Definitely no. The pressure was social. What other people might think. Now, do the actual experiment. Picture for a second the people in your life, the people you genuinely care about. Then ask honestly, does any one of them care on a level that affects how they treat you, what car you drive? I'll wait. The only people who notice your truck are other people with truck payments. That's it. Your neighbor with the $1,100 RAM payment notices yours because he's keeping score. Your coworker with the leased BMW notices your new wheels because you're playing the same game. Those compliments aren't compliments. They're, just other guys keeping score. You know who doesn't notice? Your landlord, your retirement account, your future self at 63 trying to figure out if she can finally stop working. There's a researcher named Thomas Stanley. He wrote that book, The Millionaire Next Door, 30 years ago, who did the actual surveys on what wealthy people drive. The most common car driven by an American millionaire is a Toyota, not a Mercedes, not a Range Rover, a Toyota. The people who actually built the wealth weren't driving status. They were driving reliability and quietly investing the gap. I've watched this exact pattern in 100 different friend groups. The guy with the loudest truck has the smallest 401k. The friend who drives a Civic with a cracked windshield has a paid-off house. It's almost a rule. And yet, almost nobody figures it out until somewhere around 35 when the math finally gets too loud to ignore. Caleb's F-150 gets compliments at the job site. Priya's Camry gets zero compliments from anyone. Priya, at 32, has $187,000 invested. Caleb, at 32, has $6,700. The compliments didn't compound. The investments did. You weren't buying a vehicle. You were buying a costume. And the only people who notice the costume are wearing one too. Let's go back to Caleb and Priya. By 45, Caleb's owned 5 vehicles, all financed, rolled negative equity twice, paid roughly $68,000 in interest. His current truck payment is $1,050 a month, and he still owes $31,000 on it. Total investments, about $42,000, mostly the employer 401k match he set up once at 25 and never increased. He started feeling a quiet panic about retirement that he doesn't talk about, even with his wife, especially with his wife. Priya is 45. Third car of her life, a 2020 RAV4 she paid $17,000 cash for last year. Never made a car payment in her life. Total investments, $487,000. Maxes her Roth every year. Has a brokerage account that throws off real dividends. Bumped her 401k to 15% 3 years ago. She's on track to be work optional at 57 if she wants. Gap between them at 45, $445,000. By 60, on current trajectories, it crosses 1.2 million. Same income, same career length, same city. The only difference is that one of them decided a car was a thing to maximize, and the other decided it was a thing to minimize. He treated it like an identity. She treated it like a tool. Here's your homework. Don't do the math on the new loan you might take out. Do the math on the loans you've already paid. Pull every bank statement from the last 5 years. Add up every dollar that went to car payments, interest, insurance, fuel, maintenance, lease, the works. Write the monthly average on a piece of paper. Then open a compound interest calculator and plug it in at modest returns over 25 years. Sit with the number. Then ask yourself one question. Was the truck worth that? Because here's the part that nobody likes to say out loud. The auto industry, the dealership financing arms, the manufacturer incentive structure, the way qualifying for a loan has been culturally rebranded as being a responsible adult. None of that is an accident. The 72-month loan didn't become standard because customers asked for it. It became standard because lenders did the math on what they could squeeze out of an entire working life if they kept everyone in a payment forever. That was the project all along. Nobody falls into the rolling debt trap on purpose. Nobody wakes up at 22 and decides, I think I'll spend $1 million on things that depreciate. It happens one monthly payment at a time, one trade-in at a time, one I deserve this at a time. By the time you notice, you've been making car payments for 20 years, and the bank has more equity in your driveway than you do. The exit is boring. The exit is unsexy. The exit is a 2016 Camry with 120,000 miles on it and a brokerage account that grows quietly while you sleep. Nobody's going to compliment you on the Camry, but your retirement account is going to look like it got a 6-figure raise, and that, unlike a new truck, actually appreciates with time.